Hi guys, I'm Mama Bear to Many. I am mom to 14 children. 12 of those children are still at home, and I am out here in one of my gardens. It's actually weird. Last night I was listening to the TV, which we have a television, but we never had like actual TV. We just used like a DVD player or whatever for a really long time. And then my husband, he started working for a like internet and television company, so now we have TV. So we usually use our TV. We have a DVR, which I didn't even know what it was until last summer. So we have a DVR and we try to like record videos or whatever, record television shows or whatever it is, and then they can watch it already be recorded, and then they could fast forward over the commercials and that type of stuff, because my kids didn't even know really what a commercial was. So anyhow, I went to put something on last night. I was sewing. I'm gonna sew a bunch. I realized that I didn't have many clothes for the little girls, so I am sewing some dresses for them. And so I went to turn it on, and it was already on, like, you know how it like automatically is on a channel when you turn your TV on? Okay, I'm probably over explaining this, but I didn't have a TV, so I didn't know all this, so that's why I'm doing it. So it was already on something, and it was talking about our country falling into an economic depression, or the stock market crashing or something like that. And honestly, I think we all know that it could happen. Like, in the back of my mind, it's like, yeah, it could happen, and I'm glad I am where I am. And life can happen, right? Like, sometimes just things happen and you have your own issues that are going on. You lose a job, you have a tornado, you have a hurricane, you have a blizzard, you have whatever it is, natural, So I like to be prepared in the sense that life happens, right? And I think that our ancestors really did a great job of taking care of their families. And those women were just, to me, were amazing. They were inspirational. They had, this faith in God that was just amazing, like to have faith in God when you lose children. Most women, they would have lost babies. They would have lost children to sickness or to not freak accidents, but accidents, and they just kept going on, and they're really just inspirational to me. But I kind of take what I do as far as like, I like to go back in time and just try to think of our ancestors. And our ancestors kept food for a year because you would have food until the next season came, and that just makes sense, doesn't it? If you have a really good bumper crop of green beans, why would you put up just a year's worth and then stop? What if the next year you don't have a good crop of it? So I just believe in that type of system, I guess you would say. But after last night, I was just like, wow, like, and I'm part of a couple like prepper type groups, or know listen to a couple of prepper type people. But honestly, a lot of it is just, you need to buy this now, you need to do this now. And I'm more kind of laid back in the more that you can do for yourself, the better you are. You have to take into account, these big, prepper type people, maybe they have, 20 cows or something out there, or whatever it might be, but you also have to feed those animals if something happened. Anyway, it just had me thinking, and it had me thinking about gardening. There goes the trucks. It had me thinking about gardening and such. And so I thought that I would just maybe take you around a little bit. I'm not even quite sure. This video is kind of like impromptu. I'm grabbing my camera and talking to you guys just like I would to talk to a friend that I was taking around my farm, and just show you different things. One thing is to make use of all your space that you have, whether it's like a really small spot or a bigger spot. We don't use all that much of our land because it's not very good to be used. It's very wet, but we try to make improvements on it all the time. We don't have a lot of flat space and that type of stuff, but we do have space, right? Like, I feel so blessed to have all this space. So I think if you haven't already seen, I'll drop them below. I did 3 years ago get a high tunnel that was through I can't say it right. I know that it was through like the USDA program or whatever. They pay for some of it, and you end up paying for some of it as well, but we did that through the program. My neighbors had done it, and a couple other people that I knew had done it. It's basically an incentive to try to get you to grow a lot more of your food. So we had the high tunnel, and then before we had the high tunnel, that was all my garden area. And before that, this area where I'm standing right now is my garden area, and I just had raised beds. And then, yes.
I like cheese stick.
This girl always wants a cheese stick.
I like cheese stick. Yes.
No, you may have a fruit. There's an orange. You can go get an orange.
I'll take her.
So if you guys want oranges, you can go have oranges. So I had this area here, and it had raised beds because our ground is so, it's rock. It is total rock. It's just like you can't even get down on the ground because of the rock. So I did raised beds over here to start my gardens off over here. So I have so many different types of gardens just among here, and most of it is using used materials. So the stuff that I have here, I bought a big bundle of cedar, and they had it up at the store. Somebody had ordered whatever in, and the person didn't come to pick up their order, so they were trying to get rid of it because it wasn't something they normally carried, so I got it for really cheap. So that's what I have, and it's not pretty. It's actually kind of ugly, but that's okay because it works, and it's kind of in spaces like falling apart. So all my beds in this area were used with recycled materials, and we just filled them with dirt and manure and hay and seaweed and leaves and whatever we could get our hands on. So I'll show you some of this. This is what we're going to try to plant today, and I'll show you what I'm thinking about throughout whatever. I just want to show you this so that you might be encouraged to try some things at your own home, not just gardening, but I do think gardening is number one. I will be honest, if you had to, you could eat on a mainly vegetarian diet. Is your health going to be ideal? No, but you could live on a vegetarian diet and trap and hunt and whatever. And people say, oh, well, if things happened or whatever, there would be no game left because everyone's hunting. I really don't think that, because if you don't know how to hunt, we live in we did not grow up hunting, and we live in a space that has lots of wild game, and without knowing how to hunt, you're not gonna really do a good job, especially in the first couple years. And so trapping small game would probably be more, your style or whatever. But anyway, just gardening would be key. You're talking about such a low cost for a package of seeds. You don't have to do it pretty. And that's why I want to show you today how we're at, because I think sometimes people see, oh, I bought these fancy garden beds off of Amazon, and that's great. If you have the funds to be able to do that, that's wonderful. If you want to do that, that's great. If you have perfect ground and you can do whatever, if you can get free wood chips, I wish I could. That's wonderful. I have my name in for all these chip places and whatever, and eventually if somebody drops me some chips, I will be so thankful for those. But I just want to show you what we have and how we're using it. Here we go. All right. So these beds, as you can see, they're kind of falling apart, but they're working and they're filled. So to come in here, we have hoops going around, and that is so that I can maximize the space. I do have some stuff left, so I'm going to fill this bed in more. I like to grow either squash or root vegetables in these because my squash can be divided. So I have this hoop that I'm standing under, which is 2 pig cattle panels. Now mind you, these panels actually are totally bent. These are like rotten panels that I couldn't use for my animals. I did not buy anything new for that. They were just so messed up that I couldn't use them anyplace else. Okay, so, and then we have these hoops right here. So this section from there over to here, has nothing. So we like to, I'll show you the sheep real quick and then it will make more sense. So our sheep area is in here, and oh, Stud Muffin, you're out with the ladies. Yes, you are. So that's our new ram. And these, so the ram is actually, it looks like these guys, but the ram is a Katahdin, and these ladies here are Jacobs. Those ones that are darker brown, their dad was a Romney, and they are babies from the Jacobs. So what she's doing today, just for a couple minutes, is letting them be in just this area here. There's a little bit of grass down there. The door is right here so that they can roam about here. That's all they're gonna do today. She then has, I don't know if you can see, the pig pen is back there. In between the pig pen and this is a good section of grass over there. She's going to run a different electric. See, this is Premier One's electric netting there. Yes, you're beautiful. So, sorry, I was watching Ram trying to mount somebody. So she will run another section of this type stuff back in there, and then after she does that, this netting will go down over here. The trucks are crazy this morning. All right. So the sheep will actually just come with her. If I were to do it, I would just grab a thing of grain and they would come with me, no problem. They just like to follow you, and you just call them and they just come with you. That's one great thing about a sheep, is if you can get like one to follow you, they usually will follow. So we used to run them through here, this tunnel here, but sometimes they would like to jump in this section over the beds, but I just didn't have enough cattle panels. So this cattle panel, and then I have one more right there, are going to go up and fill this gap space here. So I'll show you. So this space here is going to have cattle panels so they won't jump through. And then here I'm going to put a gate here, a gate here, and then a gate there, so they won't get in the beds. So basically we'll call them, they'll go through here, and then this is the edge of our property, right here. So the fence here is on the property line, or right like to the side of the property line. So this like alleyway we can use, but it's full of grass, right? So it's a skinny section, so we'll put the electric netting up in here, and then it would be like to the gate here, so they could run that way. And then we'd take electric netting and let them run in this section here. And then if we're going to be home, we'll even let them run out front if we're going to be like inside gardens and stuff. We just don't want them in the road. And yes, that has happened before. So it's a great way, with the portable netting, it's a great way to make use of your space that you do have, because we have a lot of land, but we don't have a lot of usable space. So I am going to show you. It did not yet come out this morning, but you remember the chick video, they were inside the building that was up front, and I told you we used to use those little like portable tractors, but our land is just wavy, so this is what we use now. So this is how it is. There's a hole cut out right in the back there. I still need to build a door for it, but there's a panel. It's actually open right now. They're just all inside because I just fed them, but they can come out, and then there's the fence here along to here, and then around. There we go. So it goes to here, and they will have all that area there. If that ground, if they are making too much use of that ground, then what I would do is I would come and one of two things. I could net the front section of this, or the middle section of the garden here. I could net in between all the trees here because there's a gate back there. Or I could come like here and towards me so that they have a rotation of netting instead of being in the same spot. So it's just different ways. Like if you get portable electric netting, then you can just move your animals around even if it's in a small space and let your land rest a little bit like that. The pigs are the same. We have that pig paddock that I showed you, but then they can go out into the woods, and we just set up portable electric netting like that. It is expensive to get started with something like that, but to us it's actually a really good investment. So that is what we do. We also like to make use of all the space that we have. So a lot of times I overseed something, and then I'll take you into the high tunnel and I'll just show you an example. I showed you the other day how I had two plants of the broccoli, and then I pull the broccoli out, and then you'd have the two plants would be two seeds in one hole, produces two plants, and then I transplant both of those plants into the high tunnel because the high tunnel is warmer, and then I'm able to pull one of those out so that I can put it into the main garden or put it into a garden outside and then leave one inside. So let's just go. I'll show you where with the beets here this morning. But I don't have too much usable space, flat ground or whatever. Most of the time these trucks are logging trucks because where we live there's a lot of forest, and they log for a mill, and the mill is it's a couple towns over, or a town over, there's a mill. So that's usually where the trucks are going. Let's see. So in the high tunnel, and if you have something like these beets here, I need to roll up the sides. See how dense these beets are right here? It's because I overseeded them. So probably this afternoon, what I will do is go in here and I will pull some until the spacing is right, and then I will use this for salad, or I will use it to saute with onions or whatever. But you could and can, and I probably will do, take some of these and put them in the ground as well in order to get big beets growing on there. So it's just a way that you can make use of, overseeding something, because if you overseed it, it already is going to be established so that you can take it and root it someplace else. I overdo, when I seed my tomatoes in the house, I put 2 seeds or 3 seeds even into one little container, and then if 3 come up in that container, then I have 3 separate plants, and I'd rather have more than less. So you can succession, just keep planting. So when I take my I come over here, when I take my radishes here, I have all these radishes, right? So you can see them or not? Let's see. There we go. I have all these radishes. The kids have been eating these while we're here, but we should pick these within the next day or two. I'll probably pick a bunch. So I would take these and I would we would eat them fresh on salad, or we could cook them, broil them or something like that. They really like them broiled. So I probably would broil them And that's the way that I made use of that space, because these cauliflowers, right, they're getting big, but they're not too big yet. I could have, the spacing of the cauliflower, so the spacing of the cauliflower is correct, and I could have just left just the 2 cauliflower, but I wanted to have another crop of something to make use of all that space. Now I'm going vertical with this part here, so in this small space, this is only like it's just over, it's like 2.5 feet. In this small space, I'm having cauliflower, radishes, and then peas on top of that. And then I'll also get another season after these peas. So it's just a way to use up all of your space in here. And then over this side, I have nasturtiums. You can see this a little bit better. I need to pick some salad for lunch. So we have the lettuce, and then we also have we also have these broccoli plants. So like this one right here, I would pick that first, because see how the lettuce is getting up and that broccoli plant wants to get up. See all the way down? But you're making use of all your space that you have. So trying to like interplant things to make use of all the space that you have is really a way that you can help your harvest grow more food for your family. Somebody said, I'm trying to think, I looked at a book, and I think that it was, you should have, I think it was like 5,000 square feet per person if you were to grow 100% of your food. I don't know. I would have to check back on that. I think that was like during the Victory Garden times or whatever. But one thing that I did learn from Victory Gardens was that they had very, very, if any, rows to walk in. They were using all that ground to plant food. So I like rows to walk in, but you'll see my weed mat is less than 2 feet wide. On the side here, I do have a bigger section. Most people, and I have that because I like to run a wheelbarrow down this side. Most people want all of their spaces to be this big. But then if I did that, I would get half of the rows of what I have, because I did big rows like that. When you're just fine, if you're weeding, you're fine to sit in 2 feet of space and weed your garden. So try to maximize your space by planting things close together and using less row space. So I don't know what's going to happen in this world. I really don't. Only God knows. And God holds the key, right? Like, He allows whatever to happen. And that's okay. Like, we just have to trust and, obey what He wants us to do. And I think that we all know what we're supposed to do and what we're commissioned to do in this world. So if you're a Christian, then that's what you should be doing. But as far as, economy and that type of stuff, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's just, how are you preparing? That's all you can do, is you can say, I'm going to be prepared by doing A, B, C, and D, and making use of the resources that God gives you, right? I mean, yeah, I could stockpile food, and not know what I'm doing and get some list that said, oh, I need to stockpile, 20 of these and 10 of these and 20 of those, which is great. If you want to do that, it's totally fine. It's great. But you really need to know what your family eats, because if your family eats more of one thing and not more of the other thing, then you're going to be short in one area and have abundance in another area. So knowing what your family eats, knowing what they love to eat, and trying to make use of whatever space you have. So I hope that this video does something or blesses you. If you are gardening or you are doing different things just to be normally prepared or change your lifestyle or whatever, let me know what you're doing. I've seen a couple other comments of people gardening, and it's just encouraging to know, there's other people out there gardening, for their families, and it's such a blessing. So y'all have a great day. Bye.